All right, as soon as this goes live, we will get this going. Should take another 20 seconds or so, and we'll get this one underway. Hopefully it won't take too long. All right. And it looks like we are going to be live. All right, I wanted to do another video really quick, another live chat. Thank you very much for wanting to take the time to hear what I have to say, because I think this is really important. There was a comment that somebody left, and it's a great comment, and I want to get people to understand that it doesn't matter who's going to be president, why they have no control. And I'm going to put it like so many people appreciate in very simplistic terms so we can understand the system and the lie. So again, this is a very good question and a comment that they wrote. This shout out will go to Aqua Plumbing LLC. Now he writes, he was talking about my video, The Truth About the United States Law and You, that the fact that the United States and all countries are corporate owned, they're corporations. So he writes in his comment, okay then, if the United States is a corp, in other words, a corporation, then vote for Donald Trump would be the right thing, because he is a great businessman and CEO. He knows how to run a company. These other people have never even ran a gas station. Okay, so thank you for making that statement. And I know a lot of people may be sharing in your point of views, thinking, well, he's a businessman. He should be able to help run this country at least differently. Now, is he different from the rest of the people? Well, that depends on how much you know the person. Is he really a different person, or is he just putting on a facade? Well, unless you're in the inner circle, you won't really know that, but it is irrelevant. Let's say he is 100% legit, and he has every intention of wanting to do everything that he says. I'm going to keep this in simplistic form, because I've said on several videos, kings run countries, presidents run corporations. Now, let's say you just got hired to be the president of the McDonald's Corporation. Okay, you are the president. Now, can you do anything without the permission of the owner of McDonald's Corporation? Yes or no? Now, you could probably do things and get fired. In other words, let's say, for example, you decide that as president of the McDonald's Corporation, you want to start selling Burger King hamburgers because you want to work with Burger King. You guys want to work together so we could all live in peace and harmony in the burger world, provided you're not a vegetarian or a vegan. Now, could you do that without the owner of McDonald's permission? No, you can't. So Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Mother Teresa, Kermit the Frog, it doesn't matter who is president of the corporation. They have no power. Why? Because they do not own the corporation. They are just president of it, which means they have no authority unless given permission. Which means if you don't follow the rules of the owner, you will get fired. And you could use that in many different terms. Fired from life, fired from the job. So I understand how people want to say that he is different, which he is. But he's not the solution. Nobody running a corrupt system will ever be the solution. So it does not matter. You can have a Girl Scout become president, and she swears an oath that she will change everything, and she becomes president. Well, she doesn't make the rules. She just enforces them to everybody below her. So if Donald Trump, for some miracle, becomes president, he can tell everybody below him what to do, but he can't tell the owner what to do. And the owners or owner, if they don't want something to happen, well, the president has no authority to do anything. So Unfortunately, videos like this will not get millions of views because I am not putting naked ladies on the cover, or I'm not doing fake pranks to get your attention, or causing major drama by starting fights with famous YouTubers and silly things like that, or showing a bunch of nonsense that will get millions of views, which is quite disappointing that the most important things in our lives are ignored by the majority and even laughed at and ridiculed. So this video is not going to be as long as my other one, which I know is a miracle in itself. But just take into the fact of knowing that all corporations may be run by presidents, but they don't have the final word. That's why they can promise you everything that you want to hear. Look at you have the power of YouTube. You have the power of Google. Search the history of every presidential election since they had the invention of the TV and see all the promises that they make. They will tell you everything that you want to hear. They know how to work the emotion. That's why they get everybody to just applaud their new slave master. Wave your flags, be very patriotic, while they call you citizens, while they call you persons of the United States. They just forget to use the word corporation, or any other country in this world. If you think the people are in control in Europe or in Asia, you're sadly mistaken. And people think, oh, the King of England, or well, the Queen of England rules England? No. England sold out centuries ago to build an army based on credit. They were the first country in recorded history that built their military based on credit. No other time in recorded history did that ever happen. The countries had to build armies based on their natural resources, because soldiers don't work for free. People who make the military gear and the military weapons, the people that make the horse-drawn carriages or the tanks, depending on what's going on now, the weapons, the food to supply, they don't work for free. They have to get paid. So in history, a country would build its army and gain power based on how much wealth it had in its own area. That's why they went and tried to seek other areas by conquering them or uniting with them to be able to combine their resources. Anyone ever wonder how a small country like England that has very limited natural resources became a world power for centuries? It's because they were the first ones introduced to a thing called credit. And they were able to build an army that could outlast anyone because they had unlimited credit. But here's the thing they don't tell you, ladies and gentlemen. When you borrow money, you not only have to pay it back, you have to pay it back plus interest. So the King of England, and I don't remember which one and the exact date that this happened because it is irrelevant overall and after all, but they had to pay it back. And what happens when you don't pay back a loan? Well, first of all, to get a loan, you have to have some kind of collateral. You can't just be a homeless person on the street, walk into a bank and say, I'd like a couple of $1,000s. They're not going to give it to you without some form of collateral. In other words, if you can't pay it back, what can they get to cover their losses? Well, what did the King of England have? They had lots of land, lots of property. And who lived on that land? The people. Think about that. So when the king could not pay back the debt, because if he had the money to pay the debt, he wouldn't have needed to borrow the money. You ever think about that when the entrapment of loans? You're borrowing the money because you need it. So how can you pay back that amount plus interest? It makes it difficult, and that's why people pay the minimum and end up in debt for all their lives. How many people have student loans that they've been paying for 5, 10 years? Mortgages for 30. Mortgage, in other words, a death pledge. That's what it's called if you look it up. So England gave over its possessions, its people, and its land to the banks. Rothschilds, Bank of London. Sound familiar to some of you who pay attention? So if people want to think they could sleep better by thinking that whoever becomes president is actually going to change anything that they say, you're just living in a dream world. And that's why, as much as I appreciate the 19 people that are watching this live show as we speak, 20 as of now, and which is not bad considering this is a second live show and I wasn't expecting to do it. I appreciate you watching, but as you can see, 20 people is not 20 million. It's not 2 billion. It's not 7 billion. It's not enough to make a difference. Unless more and more people start talking about this and standing up and stop applauding your next slave master, because the president does not have the authority. And that's why you see people like, for example, John F. Kennedy, who was the last person that actually tried to do something. Well, he got murdered because he tried to do something he did not have the authority to do. So it may piss people off to hear this stuff. I don't know. But the truth hurts. And mark my words, every president in a corrupt system is going to be there to be the punching bag. So when you guys get all cranky about what the promises they could not fulfill, they're yelling at him or her instead of the people really in charge. The Federal Reserve, which loaned us the money. China, which loaned us the money. The banks. He who has gold makes the rules. That's what the golden rule is all about. So, again, until the masses pay attention to these things and start really looking deeper into how things are run, nothing is going to change. And I hope people will start to learn the lesson. Because I get emails all the time. How do we get out of the system? How do we get out of the system? And even somebody said it was a good thing because it means they're thinking. So I appreciate that. Like somebody said, how do we take them to court? Based on my live show I did a little bit earlier. How do we take the system to court? Well, you can't, because the government runs the court systems. And if you go in there, they're going to ask for identification. And when you do, you're committing fraud. And plus, with you being a corporation yourself, a fictional entity, something that doesn't legally exist, you can't be heard. You think any court system is going to work and help the average person when they're being paid by the billionaires that put them there? Don't think so. The idea is when people stop using the corrupt system. You can't go to a casino and sit at the blackjack table and see that the blackjack dealer is using sleight of hand and tricking people. You can complain all you want, but what are you going to do? Go to the head of the place that hired him and say, oh, you need to fire that guy because he's making you tons of money? I mean, the business tons of money? You think they're going to fire them, or do you think they're going to kick you out? Just imagine you go to a casino that hired that person to make sure, and they were probably trained how to do sleight of hand so they could put cards in certain ways and make sure the house always wins, and you catch it, and you go to the owner of that casino and rat that person out. Do you think they're going to fire that person, or do they think they're going to kick you out? And if you cause enough problems, they'll probably have you arrested, maybe even beaten up. Who's going to see it? So I'm going to end this video right here. I'm going to keep this relatively short. What you guys do with this information is totally up to you. If you guys and girls out there want to thank Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Bill Cosby, Frank Sinatra, well, he's dead, so he can't really help, but he might as well just be, he'll have just as much influence. If you think anybody that is going to become the next president is going to save the day, you are being fooled every 4 to 8 years. How long do people end up getting fooled before they see what has improved? How many presidents have told you everything that they want to do to change the world? You go from Democrat to Republican, from Republican to Democrat, from Democrat to Republican. And everybody seems to forget what the previous president did not accomplish. They promise you the world. They'll sing you the nice song and dance. They'll kiss your babies. They'll help you to wave your flags. They'll work on your emotions and play you like a fiddle. And that's why Nero played the fiddle as Rome burned. If you want to be played, keep waving your flags throughout the world. Keep pretending the people like me are the crazy ones. Keep ignoring what needs to be done and wonder why nothing does get done. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, you get what you give. If you are not willing to sacrifice anything, and you are not willing to put in the effort to research these things, then do not be surprised that nothing changes. And until that day comes where people say, that's all I can stand, I can't stands no more, and you start eating that spinach, you will become strong, you will become united, and you will not have to do it violently. Because I've said this numerous times, you cannot fight fire with fire. Sometimes the best way to put out a fire is to just cut off its oxygen and smother it. Now, obviously, I'm not suggesting smothering anybody, but you get my point. You don't need violence. And you definitely don't need fire to put out fire. The system and the lie is the name, the legal name, the name that you think is on your birth certificate, on your driver's license, on all of your government forms, because it looks like you, because that's what your parents named you. You don't realize that that is not you. It is a registered corporation, which they own the legal rights to. So every time you use your identification, you are committing fraud, identity theft. Just because you claim something to be yours does not make it so. Remember, in law, you have to prove. Well, if they ask you in court to prove who you are, how do you do that? By what? Showing identification? You telling me that can't be fixed or altered or stolen? Do you think they're going to take your word for it? Lots of people out there named Steve Miller or John Doe or whatever. The only way to prove who you are is by your DNA, because no two DNA strands are alike. So, again, think what you want, do with what you want. I'm trying to help people, and it frustrates me to hear the same thing over and over again, and people just don't want to hear it. And they definitely don't want to do anything about it. That's why this video will never get millions of views. And I wish it would, because this is what's important. This is what people around the world, and especially in this corporation here, need to hear. And if you live in another corporation, you need to research your history. But until people decide it's time to do, instead of waiting around for others to do for you, until you decide that day comes, you will never get what you want. And you will always have other people telling you how to live, how to think, what to do, what not to do. Throw you in jail because you grew a plant, if you know what I mean. So I thank those that do take the time, that do care, that do put in the effort, that do research. But it's not enough. Unfortunately, the people are distracted. The people get paid lots of money. They get shown plenty of sports, plenty of porn, plenty of YouTube videos with plenty of garbage that will make you stupid, but it'll also keep you under control. So if Trump becomes president, Hillary becomes president, doesn't matter. Nothing will change. At least not for us. And that's why the few can control the many, and why the few are very extremely wealthy, and while the masses somehow settle for being second class. I don't get that. Until we all unite one day and just say no, expect more of the same. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. How many decades have to go by until we stop believing the very words that these people promise us are never going to come true? Until we make it happen. So thanks for watching. If you want to leave your comments, if you want to hit the like button, if you want to share it, by all means, please do. But until the day that people start caring about what's important and stop trolling and hating and not helping to spread this message, because YouTube will never do it. YouTube is a corporation. And people, there's a few of my trolls that say, oh, you know, you're getting paid by the Disney Corporation. I have advertisements by a company that was not originally the Disney Corporation. It was acquired by the Disney Corporation. So if they want to pay me to talk crap about them, because let me tell you something, I may get paid by the Disney Corporation, but Disney Corporation sucks ass, and they could drop me in a heartbeat if they want to. They are a corrupt system. They are part of the system. They are another corporation. I would never let my children watch any Disney movie. So if people think, oh, because I get paid by a Disney Corporation that owns the channel, you think that's going to change what I talk about? It just shows how stupid they are, because they accepted me. Well, they bought out the place, and I speak about the truth about government and corrupt politicians and corrupt corporations, Disney being one of them. But if they want to pay me a couple of fiat currencies so I can turn around and turn it into silver and other tangible assets, fine with me. So if the haters want to keep hating, you're just hurting yourselves. You're being stupid. Do something better. And I challenge those that are listening to research these things that I speak about, to spread this message despite the hate, despite the ignoring, despite the people saying the things like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist and you wear tinfoil hats. Since when did giving a shit become a bad thing in this world? I guess they can't go around murdering everybody, so I guess the next best thing is to get the people to humiliate them and do the job for them. So congratulations, you're helping the wrong side. How does that feel, trolls and haters? And the good people, when we do nothing, we allow evil to thrive. So I hope you will fix that. Your children, your grandchildren, and your future is counting on you. Now we just sit back and wait. Or everybody can do the easy road, wave their nice little flags, cheer on the next president, believe everything that they're going to say, and wonder why nothing gets done that improves your life. Might approve a few. There will definitely be people that benefit. When you keep your mouth shut and you look the other way, you'll get lots of fiat money. You'll get definite payments. Congratulations. Thanks for listening.